Part 3. The Evolution of Leadership, from Self to Global Impact. Introduction. Leadership as a Healing Force. Leadership is far more than holding a title. From Self to Global Impact. Introduction. Leadership as a Healing Force. Leadership is far more than holding a title, making decisions, or influencing others. It is an energy that has the profound ability to heal, inspire, and transform both the leader and those they serve. True leadership does not stem from external validation or authority, but rather from inner mastery, emotional intelligence, and the ability to hold space for growth and transformation. The greatest leaders throughout history have not only shaped the world through their vision, but have also uplifted humanity through their capacity to bring healing, unity, and empowerment. To lead effectively is to recognize that leadership is not about control, but about creating an environment where others feel safe, seen, and inspired to step into their highest potential. At the core of authentic leadership is the ability to transmute personal challenges into wisdom and service. Every great leader has faced adversity, moments of doubt, and internal struggles, but what sets transformational leaders apart is their ability to turn these experiences into fuel for growth. Instead of being defined by past wounds, they use them as stepping stones toward greater resilience, clarity, and purpose. Leadership healing is an ongoing process, one that requires self-awareness, emotional regulation, and the ability to integrate lessons from personal struggles into the way one leads. Healing is not separate from leadership. Rather, it is the foundation upon which sustainable, conscious leadership is built. In this section, we will explore the 3 levels of leadership, breaking down the stages of growth that every leader must navigate on their journey to mastery. We will delve into the essence of leadership energy, understanding how presence, integrity, and authenticity shape the leader's influence. Lastly, we will uncover the profound process of deep healing for leadership energy, a transformative path that allows leaders to operate from a place of wholeness, balance, and alignment. When a leader has done the inner work to heal and evolve, their energy becomes magnetic, inspiring others not through force, but through the undeniable power of embodiment, wisdom, and purpose. The 3 levels of leadership. Leadership is not simply a role or responsibility. It is a journey of continuous self-mastery, relational connection, and global impact. True leadership begins within. Before one can guide, inspire, or uplift others, they must first cultivate a deep understanding of themselves. This internal mastery forms the foundation upon which all other aspects of leadership are built. However, leadership is not meant to be an isolated pursuit. As leaders evolve, their influence naturally expands outward, creating ripples of transformation that extend beyond the self and into the world. The path of leadership can be understood in 3 levels: personal leadership, relational leadership, and global leadership. Each stage builds upon the previous one, requiring an increasing depth of self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and commitment to service. Personal leadership, mastering the self. The first level of leadership begins with the self. Before a leader can guide others with confidence and integrity, they must develop clarity, discipline, and self-mastery. This level of leadership is about cultivating a strong inner foundation, allowing the individual to remain centered in the face of challenges and uncertainties. True leadership is not about external control, but about mastering one's own mind, emotions, and actions. Without this level of internal mastery, leadership becomes reactive rather than intentional. Personal leadership is rooted in emotional intelligence, self-reflection, and resilience. A leader must develop the ability to navigate their own emotions, respond rather than react to situations, and make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. Emotional intelligence includes self-awareness, the ability to regulate emotions, and a deep understanding of how one's energy and actions affect others. This level also requires commitment to continuous self-growth through practices such as meditation, journaling, and intentional solitude. These practices foster mental clarity, emotional stability, and self-discipline, allowing a leader to develop the unshakable foundation needed to move forward with confidence and purpose. Without mastery over oneself, it is impossible to lead others effectively. Relational leadership, inspiring and uplifting others. Once a leader has established personal mastery, the next level of leadership is relational leadership, the ability to connect with, inspire, and uplift others. Leadership is not about commanding authority, but about building meaningful relationships based on trust, empathy, and authenticity. A great leader understands that their influence is not measured by how many people follow them, but by how many people they empower to become leaders themselves. At this level, a leader must develop deep listening skills, presence, and the ability to communicate with authenticity. Effective communication goes beyond speaking. It involves truly hearing and understanding others, making space for their voices, and creating a safe environment for collaboration and growth. Leaders who practice deep listening cultivate stronger connections, greater trust, and a deeper sense of belonging within their teams or communities. True relational leadership is not about control or dominance. It is about service, mentorship, and guidance. A leader does not dictate, but rather encourages, supports, and nurtures the potential in others. This level of leadership also requires a shift from self-focus to collective empowerment. Instead of leading based on personal ambition, a relational leader focuses on fostering a culture of shared growth and mutual respect. They recognize that leadership is not about taking all the credit, but about ensuring that the people they lead feel seen, valued, and inspired to grow. The most impactful leaders do not seek to have followers. They seek to create more leaders. When a leader embodies relational leadership, they cultivate a team, a family, or a community that thrives not because of fear or control, but because of authentic inspiration, encouragement, and shared vision. Global leadership, expanding impact beyond the self. The highest level of leadership is global leadership, where a leader's influence extends beyond their immediate relationships and into the world. This level is not limited by geographic location or industry. It is about making a meaningful and lasting impact on humanity. Global leaders focus on service, contribution, and the creation of sustainable transformation. They are driven by a vision that goes beyond personal success, seeking to create positive change on a societal, cultural, or global scale. At this level, leadership becomes a ripple effect. When a leader has mastered themselves and developed the ability to uplift others, their influence naturally expands outward. Global leadership is about education, mentorship, and initiating change that benefits not just individuals, but entire communities and future generations. It is about using one's wisdom, experience, and platform to inspire, elevate, and heal on a greater scale. Whether through social initiatives, humanitarian work, environmental advocacy, or transformative education, global leaders operate from a space of deep responsibility and purpose. What sets global leaders apart is their commitment to legacy. They understand that true leadership is not about temporary power, but about leaving something meaningful behind. They recognize that leadership is not just about personal achievements, but about creating systems, structures, and movements that continue to uplift and empower long after they are gone. The world's greatest leaders, from historical figures to modern changemakers, have left behind legacies that continue to shape the world today. Their impact endures not because of their titles, but because of the energy, wisdom, and service they infused into humanity. Conclusion: the continuous journey of leadership. Leadership is not a destination. It is a continuous journey of growth, self-discovery, and transformation. The three levels of leadership, personal, relational, and global, are not rigid stages, but rather fluid and interconnected. A leader must always return to self-mastery, refine their relational skills, and deepen their global impact. True leadership is about evolution, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to purpose. When we dedicate ourselves to mastering the self, uplifting others, and creating lasting change, we step into the highest form of leadership, a leadership that heals, empowers, and transforms. As we lead ourselves with integrity, we naturally inspire those around us, and our influence expands into the world, creating a legacy of wisdom, empowerment, and service. Leadership energy, the 13 pillars of power. Leadership is not just about skills, strategy, or charisma. It is an energy, an unseen force that determines the effectiveness, presence, and influence of a leader. This energy is what sets apart those who command respect effortlessly, inspire change, and leave a lasting impact. Leadership energy is cultivated through self-mastery, experience, and alignment with higher purpose. It is not about external power, but inner strength, clarity, and resilience. Every great leader carries a distinct energy that people recognize, trust, and follow. However, this energy is not accidental. It is built upon fundamental pillars that serve as the foundation for authentic and transformational leadership. The first pillar of leadership energy is clarity. A leader must have a strong vision, a clear direction, and a deep understanding of their purpose. Without clarity, leadership becomes reactionary rather than intentional. Clarity provides the ability to make confident decisions, communicate effectively, and inspire others toward a shared goal. A leader with clarity does not get lost in distractions or external pressures because they are anchored in their purpose. This level of inner certainty creates a ripple effect, allowing teams, communities, and organizations to operate with focus and momentum. The second pillar is resilience. Every leader will face challenges, setbacks, and resistance. What separates great leaders from the rest is their ability to withstand pressure, adapt to change, and turn challenges into opportunities. Resilience is not about avoiding difficulties, but about embracing them as stepping stones for growth. A resilient leader does not break under stress. They bend, adjust, and rise stronger. This ability to navigate uncertainty with confidence builds trust and respect. People look to leaders for stability, and a resilient leader becomes a source of strength and assurance for those they lead. The third pillar is authenticity. True leadership cannot be imitated. It must come from a place of inner truth, self-awareness, and alignment. Authentic leaders do not wear masks or try to fit into an expected mold. They lead from who they truly are. They embrace their strengths, acknowledge their vulnerabilities, and operate with transparency. When a leader is authentic, they naturally attract loyalty, trust, and deep connections because people feel safe around them. Authenticity removes the need for manipulation or authority-based control. It allows leadership energy to flow naturally through integrity and self-expression. The fourth pillar is compassion. Leadership is not just about results, it is about people. A great leader understands the human experience and leads with an open heart, recognizing the struggles, challenges, and emotions of others. Compassionate leaders create safe spaces where people feel heard, valued, and supported. This does not mean being weak or passive. It means balancing firm leadership with understanding. Compassion fosters loyalty, connection, and a culture of empowerment, ensuring that leadership is not just about directing, but also about uplifting. The fifth pillar is decisiveness. A great leader must be able to make informed, courageous decisions and take action without hesitation. Indecision breeds confusion and stagnation, while decisiveness creates momentum and confidence. Leaders who hesitate or second-guess themselves lose credibility. However, true decisiveness is not about impulsiveness. It is about wisely assessing situations, trusting one's judgment, and committing to a course of action. A decisive leader is respected because they take responsibility for their choices and stand firm in their convictions. The sixth pillar is balance. Leadership requires maintaining equilibrium between ambition and mindfulness, action and reflection. Without balance, leaders burn out, make reckless decisions, or lose their sense of purpose. A leader must know when to push forward with intensity and when to step back for reflection. Balance also applies to emotional intelligence, knowing when to lead with logic and when to lead with heart. True balance allows a leader to remain grounded, centered, and sustainable in their leadership journey. The seventh pillar is presence. Leaders command attention and trust not by force, but by their energy and the space they create. Leadership presence is about confidence, awareness, and the ability to hold space in any room or situation. A leader with presence does not need to prove their worth. Their energy naturally draws people in. This presence is developed through self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the ability to remain fully engaged in the moment. Leaders with strong presence inspire others not just through words, but through their very being. The eighth pillar is adaptability. In a constantly shifting world, flexibility is key to long-term leadership success. A rigid leader who clings to outdated beliefs or methods will quickly become irrelevant. Adaptable leaders are open-minded, quick to learn, and able to pivot when necessary. They embrace change as an opportunity rather than a threat. Whether in business, politics, or personal development, adaptability ensures that a leader remains innovative, solution-focused, and ahead of the curve. The ninth pillar is wisdom. A leader is not just knowledgeable, they must be able to apply lived experience and deep understanding to their decisions. Wisdom is cultivated through self-reflection, learning from failure, and seeking higher truths. A wise leader does not react impulsively. They operate with foresight, patience, and a deep understanding of human nature. They know when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen. The 10th pillar is courage. Leadership is not for the faint of heart. It requires the willingness to stand firm in the face of adversity, challenge norms, and forge new paths. Many people have great ideas or visions, but lack the courage to execute them. A courageous leader does not allow fear, criticism, or failure to stop them. They take risks, stand up for what is right, and push forward despite uncertainty. This bravery inspires others to step into their own power. The 11th pillar is inspiration. Great leaders uplift others by modeling what is possible, becoming beacons of transformation. They lead not by demanding greatness from others, but by demonstrating it themselves. A leader who embodies passion, purpose, and unwavering belief in their mission naturally inspires those around them to rise higher. Inspiration is not just about words, it is about being the example that others wish to follow. The 12th pillar is integrity. A leader's energy is only as strong as their alignment with truth and values. Integrity means walking the talk, embodying honesty, and staying committed to one's highest principles. Leaders with integrity do not compromise their values for short-term gain or external validation. They remain consistent, trustworthy, and principled, ensuring that their leadership is built on a foundation of authenticity and honor. The 13th pillar is service. Ultimately, leadership is not about personal gain. It is about giving back, creating lasting change, and contributing to the greater good. A true leader understands that their purpose is not just to rise, but to uplift others. The highest form of leadership is one that is rooted in service, ensuring that every action creates a positive impact on individuals, communities, and the world. Conclusion: the power of leadership energy. Leadership is not about control or authority. It is about energy, presence, and impact. By cultivating these 13 pillars, a leader becomes a force of transformation, creating ripples of inspiration and lasting change. True leadership is an embodiment of clarity, resilience, authenticity, and service. The more a leader refines their energy, the greater their ability to uplift, empower, and lead with unwavering strength. Deep healing for leadership energy. Leadership is not simply about authority, influence, or strategy. It is about energy, presence, and the ability to uplift and transform. At the heart of leadership lies self-awareness and healing. For a leader who has not addressed their own emotional wounds and internal conflicts will unconsciously project them onto others. The most powerful and impactful leaders throughout history have not only mastered strategy and vision, but have also undergone deep personal transformation. Healing leadership energy is about aligning the mind, body, and spirit, creating a leader who is grounded, compassionate, and capable of inspiring true change. A leader's unresolved emotional wounds often shape their leadership style, whether they recognize it or not. Many leaders operate from a place of fear, ego, or past trauma, which can manifest as controlling tendencies, insecurity, reactive decision-making, or difficulty trusting others. However, a truly conscious leader takes the time to reflect, heal, and release these inner blockages. When leaders commit to their own emotional and spiritual healing, they enhance their ability to lead with clarity, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. Healing leadership energy is not a passive process. It requires deep introspection, intentional practices, and a commitment to self-mastery. This section explores 13 key areas of leadership healing, offering insights and transformational tools to clear emotional blockages, cultivate balance, and step into the highest form of leadership energy. From meditation and breath work to emotional agility and spiritual alignment, these practices will allow leaders to heal, evolve, and create a ripple effect of transformation that extends beyond themselves. Identifying emotional blockages in leadership. One of the greatest challenges leaders face is unacknowledged emotional baggage. Many leaders unknowingly carry wounds from childhood, past failures, or professional setbacks, which continue to influence their thought processes, leadership style, and interactions with others. These wounds often create subconscious fears: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of inadequacy, that can lead to perfectionism, defensiveness, or micromanagement. To heal these blockages, leaders must develop emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Emotional intelligence is not just about managing emotions. It is about fully experiencing them, processing them, and integrating them in a healthy way. Leaders who suppress emotions often struggle with burnout, stress, and strained relationships, whereas those who embrace emotional healing become resilient, adaptable, and deeply attuned to their teams and environments. One powerful way to release emotional blockages is through mindfulness and journaling. By regularly reflecting on triggers, fears, and emotional responses, leaders can begin to identify patterns, shift perspectives, and reprogram their subconscious mind. Another effective tool is somatic healing, which involves processing emotions through the body rather than just the mind. Practices such as breath work, movement therapy, and deep relaxation techniques can help release stored tension and allow for a more embodied, balanced leadership presence. Letting go of the ego in leadership. The ego is one of the biggest obstacles to true leadership healing. While confidence and self-assurance are essential for leadership, an inflated or wounded ego can create defensive, controlling, or self-serving leadership behaviors. The ego craves validation, status, and superiority, but true leadership is about service, humility, and collaboration. Leaders who are too attached to their titles, recognition, or personal achievements often struggle to create genuine connections and authentic influence. Healing leadership energy requires a deep release of attachment to external validation and a shift toward leading from a place of authenticity and contribution. Practices such as meditation, self-inquiry, and gratitude reflection help leaders dissolve the ego's grip and reconnect with their true essence. Asking questions like, am I leading for impact or recognition? Or am I making decisions based on service or personal gain? Allows for deep inner awareness. Additionally, practicing silent retreats or solitude helps leaders cultivate inner stillness and a higher perspective, allowing them to operate from wisdom rather than ego-driven impulses. Healing the nervous system through breath work and meditation. A regulated nervous system is essential for strong leadership energy. When a leader is constantly in fight or flight mode, reacting to stress, pressure, and challenges with anxiety or aggression, they create an environment of tension and instability. However, when a leader is calm, centered, and emotionally stable, their presence becomes a grounding force for those around them. Breath work and meditation are two of the most effective tools for regulating the nervous system and strengthening leadership energy. Techniques such as box breathing, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, or alternate nostril breathing help activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress and promoting mental clarity. Meditation, particularly mindfulness and visualization techniques, enhances focus, emotional resilience, and intuitive decision-making. By practicing daily stillness and presence, leaders can shift from reactive leadership to conscious leadership, making decisions from a place of clarity, wisdom, and deep alignment. Embracing monk mode for leadership mastery. Monk mode is a disciplined approach to self-mastery, focus, and inner transformation. Many of the world's greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries, including Mahatma Gandhi, Marcus Aurelius, and Nikola Tesla, practiced periods of intentional solitude, deep focus, and complete immersion in self-development. Monk mode is about eliminating distractions, cutting out unnecessary noise, and fully committing to a period of self-growth. This practice allows leaders to develop unwavering clarity and resilience, strengthen discipline and personal power, cultivate deep purpose and visionary thinking. During monk mode, leaders prioritize structured routines, meditation, deep learning, physical well-being, and spiritual practices while removing distractions such as social media, unnecessary social interactions, and mindless entertainment. This phase refines leadership energy, sharpens intuition, and creates an unshakable presence. Integrating leadership healing into everyday life. Healing leadership energy is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment. By continuously engaging in self-awareness practices, emotional healing, and intentional leadership habits, leaders can ensure that they operate from a place of clarity, balance, and purpose. Some key integration strategies include daily reflection, journaling or silent contemplation to assess energy, emotional patterns, and areas of growth. Energy alignment, engaging in grounding exercises, breath work, and mindfulness to stay centered. Community and mentorship, surrounding oneself with aligned, high-frequency individuals who uplift and challenge growth. Service and contribution, using leadership energy to empower others, create impact, and uplift communities. By embracing leadership healing, leaders do not just elevate themselves, they create a ripple effect that transforms their teams, organizations, and even the world. When a leader heals, their presence alone becomes a force of stability, inspiration, and empowerment. Final thoughts: becoming a healing leader. The journey to healing leadership energy is both deeply personal and profoundly transformational. A leader who is willing to do the inner work, release past wounds, and align with their highest self becomes an unstoppable force of inspiration, wisdom, and positive change. True leadership healing is not just about fixing weaknesses. It is about stepping into a higher state of consciousness where every action, decision, and interaction is infused with purpose, clarity, and love. As we move forward in a world that demands conscious and authentic leadership, those who commit to inner transformation will be the ones who create lasting impact. Healing is not just a personal journey. It is the foundation of leadership mastery. By becoming a healing leader, you not only transform yourself, you transform the world. Final reflection: leadership as a legacy of healing. Leadership is far more than directing, managing, or influencing others. It is a sacred responsibility to guide individuals toward their own self-actualization and healing. The most powerful leaders are those who embody transformation, leading not through force or control, but by example. When a leader commits to their own healing and growth, they create a ripple effect of empowerment, lifting those around them into their highest potential. True leadership is not about status or dominance. It is about service, wisdom, and the unwavering commitment to uplifting others. Healing leadership is deeply rooted in self-mastery. Before a leader can guide others, they must confront their own wounds, release limiting beliefs, and cultivate emotional intelligence. A leader's inner state shapes the external environments they create, whether in organizations, communities, or personal relationships. When a leader operates from a place of unresolved pain, fear, or insecurity, these energies influence their decisions and interactions. However, when a leader has done the inner work, they radiate clarity, presence, and emotional stability, becoming a pillar of strength and transformation for those they serve. Healing leadership is about integrating past experiences into wisdom and using that wisdom to uplift and empower others. One of the most powerful tools for refining leadership energy is monk mode, a disciplined period of deep focus, solitude, and self-transformation. In a world full of distractions, expectations, and external pressures, monk mode allows leaders to strip away what is unnecessary, refine their vision, and realign with their true purpose. By temporarily withdrawing from distractions, leaders strengthen their discipline, enhance their emotional resilience, and sharpen their ability to inspire and lead with authenticity. This sacred practice is not about escaping reality. It is about returning to it stronger, wiser, and more deeply connected to one's mission. To lead effectively, one must cultivate powerful leadership energy. This energy is built upon 13 fundamental pillars, each of which strengthens a leader's ability to inspire, guide, and elevate others. Clarity ensures that a leader has a strong vision. Resilience allows them to navigate adversity with grace. Authenticity builds trust and credibility, and compassion fosters genuine connection. Decisiveness, balance, and presence ensure that a leader operates from a state of grounded power, while adaptability, wisdom, and courage allow them to make an impact in an ever-changing world. Finally, integrity, inspiration, and service define a leader's true purpose, transforming leadership from a position of authority into a force for healing and transformation. Healing is not separate from leadership, it is the foundation of it. Many leaders unconsciously carry past trauma, limiting beliefs, and emotional blockages, which affect the way they lead, interact, and make decisions. Unhealed wounds can manifest as fear-based leadership, control issues, or emotional reactivity, ultimately preventing leaders from fully embodying their highest potential. True leadership healing requires deep introspection, self-inquiry, and a willingness to embrace continuous growth. When a leader transmutes past wounds into wisdom, they create a safe, empowering space for others to grow, evolve, and thrive. Leadership is not about titles or achievements. It is an energy. It is an invisible force that shapes environments, inspires change, and commands trust. True leaders do not need to impose their authority. They radiate an unshakable presence that naturally attracts respect, admiration, and devotion. A leader who has cultivated strong leadership energy does not seek external validation or power. They operate from a place of deep alignment, authenticity, and service. When leadership energy is fully activated, a leader becomes more than a guide. They become a mentor, a healer, and a catalyst for transformation. The deep healing of leadership energy is the final stage of transformation, allowing leaders to step into their highest form of influence and purpose. This multidimensional process involves healing at the emotional, mental, spiritual, and karmic levels, ensuring that leadership is rooted in integrity, wisdom, and alignment. Leaders who have undergone deep healing no longer operate from ego, fear, or attachment to external outcomes. Instead, they lead from a state of inner balance, strength, and self-awareness. When a leader is healed, their very presence becomes a source of inspiration, empowerment, and transformation. To become a self-actualized leadership healing coach is to embrace a life of service and impact. The greatest legacy a leader can leave behind is not personal accolades, wealth, or influence, but the lives they have touched, the minds they have expanded, and the hearts they have healed. A true leader understands that their mission extends far beyond themselves. They commit to guiding others toward their own awakening, healing, and self-mastery. Through mentorship, coaching, and global leadership, a leader's influence becomes a force for generational change, shaping a future where leadership and healing are inseparable. Leadership is not about being perfect. It is about alignment. The most powerful leaders are not those who have never struggled, failed, or fallen. They are the ones who have risen, again and again, stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. A leader's greatest strength lies not in their invincibility, but in their ability to embrace vulnerability, humility, and self-reflection. By openly acknowledging mistakes, learning from setbacks, and continuously evolving, leaders create an environment where authenticity and growth can flourish. The journey from a man who once struggled with PTSD and ED to a self-actualized leadership healing coach is one of profound transformation. It is the story of reclaiming power, embracing deep healing, and turning personal struggles into a source of wisdom and leadership. This journey serves as undeniable proof that healing and leadership are deeply intertwined, that the most powerful leaders are those who have endured suffering, transcended limitations, and emerged with a mission to serve and uplift others. Ultimately, healing leadership is not about leading others. It is about awakening their ability to lead themselves. The highest form of leadership is not command, control, or direction. It is empowerment. A true leader does not create followers, they ignite leaders. When a leader fully embodies healing energy, wisdom, and presence, they become a mirror, reflecting the limitless potential in those they guide. As this book comes to a close, the journey of leadership healing continues. Leadership is not a destination. It is a lifelong process of self-discovery, refinement, and impact. Each moment of growth adds to a leader's legacy. Each challenge becomes an opportunity for transformation, and each healed wound expands their capacity to uplift others. True leadership is not just about what we accomplish in our lifetime, but about the seeds of healing, wisdom, and empowerment we plant for future generations. The ultimate purpose of leadership is not power, status, or material success. It is healing. Leadership, at its core, is about elevating human consciousness, fostering transformation, and creating a world where wisdom, integrity, and service reign above all else. A true leader does not stand above others. They walk beside them, guiding, supporting, and illuminating the path toward healing, wholeness, and self-actualization. Hanwin, Hanwin080820224 @gmail.com.